Hey, it's Blair at the workbench, and I'm here with an ATI Super Damper. And I just thought I'd take a few minutes to go through this and talk about some of the things that I was kind of confused about before purchasing the damper, and maybe it might be helpful for somebody down the road. But anyway, I'm planning to do camera placement this winter, and the stock damper has to come off. And the only way to change lower pulleys, change the size of the lower pulleys, is to utilize an aftermarket damper. And while there's some other manufacturers out there, I think for the most part ATI is the kind of standard performance piece, for these applications. At least that's my opinion. And so, before I purchased the damper, I would say that I did a lot of research and a little confused as to how it worked relative to how to specify the assembly and what it came with. No, the damper is a beautiful piece, and of course it comes assembled. The inertia ring, which you can't see inside there, comes assembled to the shell, which is really great. So essentially, this is the damper here. This is an accessory pulley specific to the 6.2 LSA engine, and this pulley does not necessarily come with every damper, again, because it's specific to the manufacturer or the engine. So Hellcat might have a different pulley, or it may not. I'm not sure, but in this case, this pulley is specific to the 6.2 because it drives the air conditioning compressor. And this pulley drives all of the other engine accessories, including the alternator, the water pump, the power steering pump. But while this comes as an assembly, this pulley, the balancer, the balancer, the damper, and the hub, it does not come with a lower supercharger pulley. So you can purchase this. This only comes this way unless you purchase the ATI lower pulley, or you can purchase the lower pulley from other aftermarket manufacturers, and DMS, DSX, Lingenfelter all sell their version of a lower supercharger pulley that bolts to the super damper. So in my case, I chose to purchase a DMS lower pulley, and I'll show that in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to mention that while the damper comes assembled with the inertia ring, the AC pulley and the hub do not. So that's something that the owner has to assemble themselves, and I've already done that here. And the reason that I wanted to do this video is because I found it a little tricky. I mean, it wasn't very hard, but it was just a little tricky to try to figure out all of the bolts and the bolt holes, because these T40 plus bolts, 3 of them are longer and the rest are shorter, and these are 5/16 bolts, while these are 3/8 bolts. So these obviously are for the supercharger pulley, and of course they're longer, as are 3 of these T40 plus bolts, and of course they're longer because they bolt through so that the air conditioning pulley on the back is attached as an assembly. And then the shorter T40 bolts fit into the rest of the 5/16 holes. So you have to really kind of be careful, and the hub and the damper can only be assembled one way. There's an offset hole, and it took me a little bit to find the actual corresponding mark on the hub to make sure that they were lined up. And then once you do that, then it's just a matter of finding the right length holes for the right length bolts. And so once you've done that, once you've established those holes, then it's relatively easy until you start installing all of the bolts and torquing them in the right sequence, because each one of them require a little bit of blue 242 Loctite. And if you're like me, the minute that I've torqued one bolt down and looked away, or get distracted and look back. I can't remember which one it was. So a little Sharpie dot on each of the ones after I had torqued them was helpful for me. Now, of course, this is the DMS supercharger pulley. It's just an absolute beautiful billet piece, all 8 rib. So that's factory 8 rib configuration. And of course it will bolt in with these 3/8 bolts when I have the damper already on the car. So it just makes it a little bit easier to handle without the lower pulley attached. And then of course we'll torque those down at the end, which will be kind of nice. Now, you know, why did I go with the DMS pulley? Because as I talked about some of the other manufacturers, they all have different sizes, right? Which is actually kind of cool. DMS makes, I think this is their smallest of their lower pulleys. This is actually 1 inch larger in diameter than the factory pulley, which is 7.8. And of course, there's a whole bunch of things to think about when you're trying to dial in your pulley sizes. First and foremost, you know, what is the pulley ratio between the upper and the lower pulley, which is really important, because the factory superchargers have a maximum RPM limit before things start to go south, right? It's kind of like an engine. You over-rev an engine and you can have, you know, significant other types of failures or problems. So too, if you over-rev the supercharger, you can have problems too. Not to mention the amount of heat that they make when they're really spinning hard too. So a bunch of things to think about. And you know, while there's a lot of guys out in the LSA, CTSVs, L1 world that are spinning their superchargers in excess of that maximum RPM limit without any issues, you know, I'm just kind of building a conservative package here. You know, keeping it relatively tame, stock. The cam isn't going to be anything really radical, but it'll definitely be a big improvement over the stock cam. You know, and the car's already gone 1086 at 129.8 miles an hour. You know, so it's just going to kind of be fun to see, you know, how much extra we can step it up a little bit. So this 8.8 is a pretty conservative lower pulley size, but it will spin the supercharger a little bit harder. And I've got 3 upper pulleys that I can play with to get everything dialed in when it's time to do that. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to mention relative to the ATI Super Damper. It's a beautiful piece, of course. ATI has been building these things for many years, and the type of quality is just over the top, first class. And so, you know, once it's installed, it's virtually maintenance free, nothing you need to do with it. You know, they talk about in the instructions, you know, when it should be rebuilt and that kind of thing. And, you know, but it's mostly for racing purposes. And I'm not building a race car. I'm just building kind of a really cool, somewhat quick, heavy station wagon. So there you have it. I hope you're having a great day. It's New Year's Eve. I just wanted to toast everybody and you know, just have a great 2023. And you know, I'm just so excited and looking forward to you know, to the next driving season. So thanks for sticking around this long, and we'll maybe do another one. Bye for now.